What's good, people? Agent Juice reporting for duty. Today's video, and of course Speedpaint, is going to be about this new breakout indie cartoon called The Tuttle Twins that is based on a book series of the same name. The Speedpaint you're seeing right here is of the main characters of the cartoon. The cartoon stars, of course, the Tuttle Twins, who are Ethan and Emily Tuttle, and these twins go on crazy adventures with their spunky Cuban grandma Gabby, and her crazy pet raccoon Derek, who eats everything, and they go around on a magical time-traveling reality warping mobility scooter, and they go to various points in history to learn valuable lessons. This is actually an educational cartoon, but it's a special educational cartoon because the things they teach is rather interesting. And what exactly is this interesting thing that they teach? Well, without further ado, let us go ahead and buckle into our favorite mobility scooter. Let's hang out with our crazy grandma. Let's, of course, use our magical knowledge juice to tickle all the sacred buttons, because that's good for the algorithm and it's good for you. And let's go ahead and learn about the lessons that the Tuttle Twins have to teach. All right, enough riffraff. What's these special lessons that this cartoon is teaching? Tuttle Twins is a educational cartoon that teaches lessons about free society. Includes things like free market competition, individual rights, the non-aggression principle, personal responsibility, protectionism. Basically, if I could sum up Tuttle Twins in one sentence, it is No Step on Snick, the cartoon. Now, this is a cartoon that is being produced independently because, according to Daniel Harmon, who is not Dan Harmon, by the way, Daniel Harmon, who is the showrunner and director of Tuttle Twins, and the books are written by an author, Connor Boyack, and obviously they're working together. But we're talking about the cartoon specifically, and according to Daniel Harmon, his big thing about making this cartoon independently is that there is no way Hollywood would touch this, and that's no surprise to me. I think anyone who is rational and has a really good eye on Hollywood, especially nowadays, realizes that Hollywood, the hegemonic elites of Hollywood, very clearly have a particular political slant. Now, everyone is allowed their political biases. I have mine, you have yours, and it's one thing to have it and say, I believe certain things, you believe certain things, but we can essentially get along and get work done. However, it's another thing when the hegemony specifically does not allow certain things to be made because it goes against their beliefs. And unfortunately, that is the world we find ourselves in right now. So, naturally, Tuttle Twins, because it's very no step on snick, and that doesn't really fly in Hollywood, the creators were like, all right, looks like we got to do this independently. And I must add, Hollywood is subsidized by government taxes. A lot of the stuff that's being made in Hollywood is using your tax money to be made. So if something sucks, you paid for it even if you didn't want to. So it's not enough to just vote for your dollar. Your tax money is going directly into the Hollywood industry. And so they make a really big thing about it. And because of that, the creators also made a big thing about saying, we don't want to be taxed by your money, because that's very unlibertarian. Believe me, they are the taxationist theft people. So they said, we want our cartoon to be paid for by people who want it, who are you, the backers, the investors. And so I really appreciate them putting their money where their mouth is and walking the walk. But with all that said, we need to get to the brass tacks. Is Tuttle Twins a good cartoon? Is it an entertaining cartoon? Before I can give you my consensus on that, I need to build the picture, if you will. I need to set some things up. First and foremost, understand, I am biased for the Tuttle Twins. I am biased for their values because I share the same values. Second thing is that we have to understand that this specifically is an educational cartoon. Their mission is to give children a cartoon they can watch so they can learn about these specific values. Finally, I want to make a comparison to existing shows that have been considered educational shows. And not only are they educational shows, they're considered educational shows that specifically educate upon a particular belief system. What am I talking about? I am talking about Christian shows. And chances are you're probably quite familiar with a particular show known as VeggieTales. This show about cute little vegetables teaching about the Lord. And at the same time, you're probably also familiar with another cringier show called Bible Man, about some Bible-thumping superhero. VeggieTales is very clearly an educational cartoon, specifically a Christian educational cartoon. It is meant for Christian parents to show their little children the tenets of Christianity. Now, I don't know about you guys, but even despite that, like, I'm not a Christian dude. I am not religious. I'm quite secular. But even with that said, I still fondly look back on VeggieTales. I remember seeing bits and pieces of it, and I remember being entertained by it, and actually think it's kind of fun to watch. Bible Man, I never really saw much of it, but it is pretty much like universally lambasted as being very, like, the worst possible way you could pitch Christianity. Right? Very out of touch, very cringy, right? So, now that I've laid all that gobbledygook down, I'm basically here to ask this question. Is Tuttle Twins VeggieTales, or is Tuttle Twins Bible Man? As of right now, as of everything I have viewed, I am coming to the conclusion so far that it's looking promising. And here's the reason why. I had to watch this not as a 30-year-old man. I had to look at this cartoon as a kid. Would a kid watch this by themselves? Obviously, if a parent says, like, you know, I want my kids to learn about, you know, personal responsibility and free society and free trade, obviously they're going to show their kid this cartoon, right? The thing about it is that I don't know about you guys, but man, when I was a kid, anytime the authority showed me something, I immediately had a bias against it. I was like, oh God, I have to learn, right? I always remember thinking of like all the required readings you had to do in school and all of those books. And I just like gritted my teeth and like, I have to read this story. I have to do this. And I always thought to myself, like, man, it would be a terrible, terrible punishment if I like wrote a book and it had to be required learning for school, because then everyone would have a bad taste in their mouth and go, oh, we have to read this book. I had to think about this cartoon as like, is this a cartoon that a kid would begrudgingly watch? And I don't think so. And the reason why I don't think so is because there's a lot in this cartoon that is actually not only just kind of fun and funny, but also kind of, I guess for lack of a better term, edgy. In the pilot episode, the Tuttle Twins go to an Old West town that is being accosted by these cow thieves. And these cow thieves are basically a commentary on government taxation, right? Because they're taking cows away from this farmhand and claiming that, oh, you know, like we are basically taking these cows as a form of tax so that we can redistribute it as we see fit. Isn't that a good thing, right? And so the argument is like, why should you forcibly take from me when I have a track record of donating these cows to charity? It's, you know, going back on the whole taxation is theft thing, saying like, you know, people are naturally, good people have a propensity of willfully donating to charity and being able to fund all of these things by themselves anyway. But point is, there is a scene where there's a gunfight, like a straight up gunfight in the bar. And I remember seeing that and going like, wow, these cartoons are pulling pieces, right? This is not kitty pew pew lasers because, oh, the bullets will offend the little kitties. No, these people are popping real bullets at each other and they're just going, and like just seeing a gunfight in an educational cartoon immediately kind of triggered my rebellious youth monkey brain going like, oh, I'm seeing something that you're not supposed to see, which is a gunfight, right? So that is a very specific example of coming to the conclusion that this is more VeggieTales than it is Bible Man. This is more fun than it is preachy. There is this great quote. I can't remember who said it. I saw it on a YouTube video or a podcast, but someone made this great point about the concept of putting propaganda or politics in works. Obviously, everyone has their own politics, and obviously everyone wants to explain their politics and kind of get their message across in their work. You have to think of that as the pill. It is a pill to swallow. The rest of the work, the entertainment, the jokes, the action is like the food, the sweets. And this kind of goes into like, have you ever tried giving a pet a pill? It is impossible. The only way you can get that dog to swallow that pill is if you mush it into the dog food, like into the bit of raw meat that you can feed the dog so the dog will happily eat the meat and swallow the pill. And the idea is that how much of a pill to meat ratio is your work? And the problem is that the reason why people say get your politics out of our cartoons and get your politics out of our video games is because the hegemony, the hegemony that has a specific slant is too much pill and not enough meat. Is Tuttle Twins a good ratio of meat to pill? And I think so far I would have to say yes. They have enough jokes, they have enough gags, they have enough things that are legitimately funny to children, right? Legitimately entertaining to see, like actual fights, actual jokes. So I do have a vested interest of seeing the success of Tuttle Twins because, like I said, I do share their values. But this show can't just have a good message. It has to be a good cartoon. So far, they're doing good. Let's see if they can keep it up. In fact, this is something I like to do, especially with indie projects. The chances of the likes of Connor Boyack and Daniel Harmon seeing this particular video are actually very high because they're indie creators. So this is the part of the video where I directly talk to you. Daniel Harmon, Connor Boyack. I like what you're doing so far. I really am finding Tuttle Twins entertaining. Understand I am biased in favor of your guys' belief systems because I share the same thing. However, because of that bias, I want to emphasize that this cartoon needs to be a fun cartoon. Okay, it needs to be something I imagine a kid watching by themselves, and a kid who has like a super moral, busybody, overprotective mother would kind of watch behind her back, if you know what I mean. Okay, because that is the proper way to deliver this message, I believe. I know there's some parents probably watching this right now going like, I don't want my kid learning, bad stuff behind my back. But if your kid is going behind your back to watch a cartoon whose, tenets include personal responsibility, that kid is going to do good in life. All right. So I greatly look forward to seeing what you guys do with this cartoon. I really do hope it does succeed. I really hope that it continues to be a legitimately good cartoon, even if you take away all of the values and morals and educational part of it. It remains good and entertaining because I think it is. I think it is so far, and I hope it remains that way. Anyway, with all that said, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up there for today. I thank you for watching this goofy video. Comment down below, let me know what you think. I do have other sources that you can find me on if you want to stalk me on the interbuts. I'll put all of this stuff up here. And with all that said, I do thank you for spending this time with me. I do hope you all stick around. And until next time, deuces.